call it to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will now turn things over to the superintendent for the celebration of excellence.
Great, thank you. So hang on one second, I lost some paperwork here. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Maselli first to talk a little bit about Jack, who is soon to be leaving us tomorrow night, in fact, very exciting. So Mr. Maselli, I know you wanted to say a few words.
Yes, thank you. So 23 and a half hours to go, but who's counting? So, we've actually heard a lot about Jack the last several weeks, and I don't want to repeat that. But I do want to say that, he really has stepped up in so many ways. He's involved in all facets of Bolton High School, and he will really be missed. He's a special young man, and we're very proud. And I'm really personally honored for the time that we've spent together. And Jack will be heading off to UConn next year to study finance. And in deep, careful conversation with Miss Denuzio, we have selected next year for your Board of Education student representative pleasure, current sophomore, so rising junior, Michael Zakowski will be joining you next year.
Awesome. Thank you. Jack, I would like to thank you so much for all the time and dedication that you have given to the Board of Ed. We are really going to miss you, and UConn is very, very lucky to have you, young man. And I know there are bright and great things in your future. And I want to thank you so much on behalf of me and the Board of Ed for your awesome service. Congratulations.
Thank you. I really enjoyed being a part of the Board of Ed.
Maybe someday we'll have you, when you're back in Bolton living with a family, Jack, you can run for the Board of Ed. I will be long gone by then because I will be really old, but by all means. All right, so moving on. Sadly, tonight, we have a couple of retirements. So I always have great difficulty with this, so I'm going to do my very best to do this without getting emotional, but it's probably not going to happen, so I'll just give everyone that fair warning. So first, I would like to honor our food service manager, Debbie Bogner. I would like to congratulate Debbie on her retirement from the Bolton Public Schools. She began her career as a school lunch hero in Bolton Public Schools back in October of 1999, while her children attended school in the district. After 18 years of serving hundreds and hundreds of Bolton's children, she was promoted to food service manager in 2017 and then district food manager in 1819. She has been a tremendous asset and valuable member of the Bolton Public School system over the last 20 years, ensuring that Bolton's students' nutritional needs were always met. As district food service manager, Debbie has worked tirelessly. And when I say tirelessly, I really mean tirelessly. These past 3 years to uphold the program integrity and ensuring that school breakfast and lunch program was meeting federal and state requirements. Not only that, but we threw in there COVID and she stood things up inside of a day so that we could continue to feed our kids and our families. And she's just an amazing lady. And it has been an absolute pleasure working with Debbie during our time together in the district. Her hard work and dedication have greatly benefited our children and school community. And we hope that the remaining employees here will still continue to strive, and we're sure that they will, her amazing and stellar example. We will miss her contributions, her guidance, her commitment to the daily operations of the Bolton Food Service Program. While we are sad to see her go, we are confident that she will find the same success and happiness in retirement that we have had the privilege to experience while she has worked in our schools. She has a bunch of grandbabies, and they are going to benefit from her time, as is her elderly mom, that I know for sure, and they're very lucky to have her. Debbie, on behalf of myself and the Bolton Public Schools and all our staff and the Board of Ed, I wish you health and happiness in the next chapter of your life as a devoted grandma and daughter and wife. and we will miss you dearly. Congratulations and best wishes. Would you like to say anything, Deb? You're on mute, Deb. You're on mute.
I'm unmuted.
You are unmuted.
I think it's just starting to hit me that I'm leaving. And I've enjoyed being, I didn't have anything prepared.
It's okay. You didn't need to.
I didn't know I was going to cry either. Look at my beautiful flowers that you all sent me in the background. They're just beautiful. I've been so humbled by all the texts and cards and emails, and I guess I didn't realize what an impact I made on so many people. But I'll come back as a sub sometime, maybe.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Congratulations.
Thank you to everyone. I've enjoyed working with all of you. And thank you.
Thank you. And now for our last, but certainly not least, retiree, Mr. Alan Jocks. So for the past 16 years, Alan has worked with the Bolton Public Schools and town offices as our technology specialist. He has been our one-man IT department and has kept our servers, our firewalls, our networks, internet connections, hardware, software, you name it where, anywhere, running and safe. Safety always comes first with Alan, and he has been there for all of us at all hours of the day, on weekends, on holidays, morning, noon, and night. Not to mention the superintendent when she runs into a glitch and is texting him or calling him, Alan, I don't know what to do, and he comes to my rescue immediately. Not to give the wrong impression, we do have an official ticket system for when something isn't working, but Alan is always willing to meet a teacher in the hallway or stop by a classroom when he's heard of an issue. The teachers and students have always come first for Alan. Our students stop him in the hallway when they have a special technology question or an interest. In some instances, he was then able to mentor students who eventually headed into the technology field. While he was officially hired by CREC, he was an integral and essential part of our Bolton family. We are so grateful for Alan's support, dedication, and cheery disposition over all these years. Alan, you are going to be greatly missed, my friend, and I wish you much health and happiness in retirement with Arena and those puppies. Best of luck to you, my friend. You're on mute, buddy.
Thanks, Kristen. It was a pleasure working with all you guys. It's really nice to look back to see where we were and where we've come, and think about all the fun we had getting there. So yeah, I really do appreciate it. You guys will always be a part of my thoughts. I'll always be thinking about you guys, and I really wish you guys well. I know you guys will continue to grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Again, Alan and Debbie, congratulations. Best wishes for health and happiness in your retirement. And we will miss you. And that concludes my celebration of excellence this evening.
Okay, goodbye, everybody. Thank you again.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you very much, you both. I believe we're now on to the comments from the audience section of the agenda. Too many windows open on my phone.
You are
do we
correct.
have any comments from the audience? I do have. Is there anyone in the audience or anyone who's received any communications?
I would
that
love
like
to make
to
some
speak?
comments.
I'm not hearing anything.
I would love to make some
I-
comments.
Oh, yes,
I
please.
have. Let me start my video.
Name and
Sure, let me just put my video.
address, please.
Hi, my name's Marisa Hauser. My address is 150 Bolton Center Road. I actually have several points to make and some questions to ask as well. So I am on the call tonight to talk specifically about some of the mandates that are in place in the schools, one of them being masking. Masking has gone on far too long. Vaccinations are widely available and have been for months. Our infection rate is hovering at 1% or below, and has been scientifically shown that children are statistically very unlikely to contract COVID and are also not vectors of transmission. I have the links to the CDC's own data. If you don't, if you'd like to see that, I'd be happy to share with that afterwards. There are firsthand accounts, however, of just how detrimental the masking is for our children. Some issues with the masks include developmental concerns, as well as a lack of facial recognition, visual emotion, breathing issues, not to mention the bacterial and fungal infections that are affecting people from these wet and dirty masks. There are plenty of studies that show this too. Some have already been shared. I know some were emailed into, and I have some more. The science does not support what we're doing to our children. The mask mandates that the governor, Department of Health, Department of Education, and Board of Education have instituted for our children need to be removed. I'm sure one of you will say, but we are following the CDC guidelines. Well, the CDC, as we know, change their minds daily, and they only send out recommendations. These are not laws that we must blindly follow. You may then say, well, what about the WHO? Again, from the WHO's website itself, they advise that people always consult and abide by local authorities on recommended practices in their area. Again, recommendations, not laws. Next, maybe the comment will be, well, it's not up to us. It is up to the DOE, DPH, governor, or whomever else you want to say. That is also incorrect. Some Board of Education districts within our state have already dropped their mask mandates for the fall. Old Lyme is one of them. Call the governor's office and ask them who makes the decision, and they will say it's up to the districts. So in fact, it is up to us. Entire states have reopened fully and dropped these mandates. Stand up for our kids. We demand you unmask them, as so many other districts throughout our state and country have already done. Worried about the others who may feel strongly that masks should stay? Then make masks optionals for those who are so concerned. As parents, we are given the very important job of keeping our children safe, teaching them, caring for them, and wading through the constant flood of information to make medical decisions on their behalfs. Suddenly, the school has decided to step in and take over? No, thank you. You do not know our children like we do. You do not know our medical histories, our family situations, our religious beliefs, etc. So how could you know what is best for them? Let parents make the medical decisions for our kids. I won't ask about your parenting decisions, and you leave mine alone as well. As far as social distancing and quarantine goes, according to the CDC's own data, beginning April 2020, the proportion of children's mental health related emergency department visits among all pediatric ED visits increased and remained elevated. Compared with 2019, that has increased from ages 5 to 11, 24%, and from ages 12 to 17, 31%. And I've got the link to that too. This is the CDC's own data. This has become the real national crisis. We need to do better. Stop with the mandates, stop with the offers and bribes for medical procedures. Let's make our town a town to model freedom after. I'm not alone believing our kids and community deserve better. I ask that you all please join the thousands of other concerned parents, children, and loved ones across the state and join in to help fight for our children and our freedom. That's all I have to say about the masks, the social distancing, and the quarantining. I do have quite a bit to say about the continuity of services planned for the fall. I'd be happy to share those comments now or when you get to that portion. Please let me know. Thank you for letting me have the time.
Now is the only time
Perfect. I'd
that
be happy.
we have
Okay.
for public commentary.
Sure.
Do you want to
So
continue?
perfect. And I will be happy to share that now. So as far as the continuity of services plan working draft, I've already emailed these comments in when they sent out the survey. Page 7, it says, it is regardless of level of community transmission, Bolton Public School will continue to use and layer prevention strategies. Again, I've already talked about keeping these mandates in place. It's a gross misuse of the prior pandemic strategies. We're no longer in a pandemic, and therefore it is unnecessary to subject our kids to any more of this abuse.
Dr. Hauser, if I could for a minute, please.
Sure.
Normally we don't respond, but I need you to know that that commentary, valid point, and we took that part out of the plan. So I just
Fantastic.
wanted to let you know
I
that
appreciate
piece.
that. Thank you. So page 9, use of lockers will be limited to minimize student contact with surfaces and congregation of students in corridors.
Again, Dr. Hauser, we
Mhm.
made a change there as well.
Fantastic. I'm glad to hear that my comments were taken seriously and that they were read, because sometimes you just don't know when everything's done during.
We always read the comments when we send out surveys, for sure.
I am so glad to hear that. Page 13, all students and staff will utilize a video presentation during the first 3 days of school to discuss how COVID-19 is spread and actions of students and staff should undertake to mitigate the virus spread. Why is this necessary when kids have been inundated with these messages for well over a year? In addition, who made this video? Where can this video be previewed by parents before their child sees it? I'll let you answer that later. Also on page 13, the Bolton Public Schools will continue to partner with the Eastern Highlands Health District to offer vaccines as available and appropriate for school staff and eligible students. Please elaborate. Who decides what vaccines are appropriate to offer? Who decides who the eligible students are? And will this be done without parental consent? Again, I thank you for letting me talk. I know that was a lot longer than you probably have comments in the past, but obviously I'm very passionate about what's going on. I'm very concerned about what's going on. And I think, well, I know I'm not the only one. We have a Facebook group for the town of Bolton right now that is growing quite big by the day, of concerned parents who are just tired of this. And not to mention statewide, this movement is really, really growing. So thank you again for hearing me out, letting me speak without interruption, except for that great information. And I pass it back to you. And sorry for the dark room. I just got home from work.
Thank you very much for your input. I'm happy that people are turning out, and I always welcome anyone's input about anything. It's far too infrequent. Is there anyone else who has anything for us that is in the audience or has received? I do have one, so if there's anyone else. I'm not hearing anything. I have an email that I had offered to read. Another citizen, Miss Heather Hamilton. I asked her too late to find out her address, but she has 3 children in the school system, and was so the communication is as follows. It's on a similar vein. Masking the children has gone on long enough. Vaccinations are widely available and have been for months. Our infection rate is hovering at or below 1%. It has been scientifically shown that children are statistically very unlikely to contract COVID and are also not vectors of transmission. There are, however, firsthand accounts of just how detrimental masking is for our children. I have attached numerous articles, which I can pass along to be recorded, and studies that discuss this exact issue. Much of a child's neurological development comes from seeing faces, seeing facial expressions, seeing how words are formed from the mouth. It is imperative to development. We are arresting their development. The science does not support what we're doing to our children. Please show me the science that does. I implore you, please remove the mask mandate, and furthermore, do not create medical segregation by forcing children to wear the mask. If families choose not to vaccinate their children with this experimental vaccine, this is coming from a nurse that is fully vaccinated. And then the sources are attached. But that was the communication. Again, Heather Hamilton, I don't have her address. Final chances, or anyone else who has any communications or anything?
I don't know if you saw in the chat, Kay Fuller also made a comment, please end the mask mandate and taking personal choices away from children.
It would be helpful if she could please identify herself. I know she put it in the chat, but we need to hear her name and address for purposes of the record. Mrs. Fuller?
If you're still here, please.
Thank you.
Now there's all kinds of chat things popping up. I never even paid attention to that box before. Shows how much I know about Zoom. for a year. Oh, okay. So anyone who's unable to see it, it says please end the mask mandates and taking personal choice away from children. The person is Carrie Fuller, who lives at 1055 Boston Turnpike. Is there anyone else? I think that is likely all, as there's no one else in attendance even, I don't think. I don't know. So moving on, do we have any additions to the agenda this evening?
No.
Okay, very good. On to routine business items. Approval of minutes for, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the May 13th, 2021 Board of Education business meeting.
So moved. This is Chris.
Second.
Chris and Ben, thank you very much. Is there any comments or any editing on these minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Is there anyone who is opposed? I will abstain as I was stuck at work and unable to log on.
I also will abstain. I wasn't present.
That's right. So that passes with 2 abstentions. On to the Board of Education committee reports. Finance.
Okay, yes, finance met this morning, and at this point in the year, we are 80% expended in our budget as compared to 84% last year. And I think Mrs. Hecht is going to take us through some of the points.
Thank you. So we have a few transfers. We needed to reclassify some monies to cover Charlene's portrait studio for the photographs that we did for our soon-to-be graduating seniors tomorrow evening. Some math textbooks for variable calculus and all the web access that goes along with that. And then if you could keep scrolling, thank you. Some additional supplies at BHS for end of the year needs, and then a transfer to cover the BCS Invention Convention registration fee. And I believe that is it for transfers. And then as Ann shared, we are 80% expended. Mr. Maselli, if you could go to the last page for me. So our current balance is $773,732. I want to remind the board that on March 11th, the board voted to move forward to the Board of Finance to go towards next year's budget, $275,000 and an additional $200,000 on April 29th. I would also like to remind the board that this is primarily savings in salaries and benefits. As the board is aware, and I just want to state it for purposes of the record, we continue to have numerous unfilled positions this year. And as such, we have a lot of savings in the salary and benefits lines. And that concludes my report.
I had a question, Kristen, if I might. Can we go back to the transfer? I think you said it was some type of calculus, but I didn't recognize it as a course that we currently offer or one that the curriculum committee has ever discussed. Can you give us some more details about that?
Well, we do offer calculus. Mr. Maselli, would you like to?
Well, we offer calculus, but this sounded like a more advanced calculus course. Is it part of the regular calculus course?
I believe it is. I need Mr.
Yep,
Maselli.
sorry, I was juggling screens. I apologize for that. I believe, I will double check, but I believe this is tied into the new ECE course. So I will check and get you an answer before the end of the meeting. I just don't want to, I don't have that in front of me and I don't want to misspeak. So if that's okay, I'll get back to you.
Okay. If it is a new textbook that is going to be used for the course, I don't believe that we have approved it, have we? Or is it one that we have already approved and we're buying extras
Give me
of?
I think I know, but I don't want to.
Okay.
Just give me a few minutes, please. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, so we'll come back to that if that's okay. So maybe we should just come back to the approval of transfers once we get the answer from Mr. Maselli.
Yeah, I think we're going to move on at least to the student representative reports so they can move along. Go ahead.
Underclassmen finals finished today, and their awards are live streamed today at 7. The softball team finished their season with a record of 6-12, and 2 girls made all conference. The tennis team had 3 girls that made all conference, and the track team state meet took place last Thursday, and a couple of athletes advanced to the state open, which is happening tomorrow morning. There are 5 athletes that made all conference and 12 school records that were broken. Next year, Michael Sikowski will be joining me as a student representative, and I'm very excited to have him.
Welcome, Michael. Thanks,
The baseball team ended their season with a record of 2-17. The golf team had a successful season, making it to the state match. The choir posted their spring concert video on YouTube last week, and senior finals were held last week. And then graduation is tomorrow with senior awards tied into it.
Thank you, Jack. Great last report.
Thanks.
You guys, I know that you may have stuff to do to get ready for the last day of school. So feel free to join us or remain on or go ahead and go.
Have a good day.
You too. Thanks
day.
again.
Thank you both very much. Okay.
Mr. Maselli, an answer?
Yes. So I was correct. This is for the new ECE UConn course that we're starting. And it is the book they say we use. So that's why we didn't have the conversation about picking a book, because we're jumping into the UConn course, teaching the UConn course, and we're using the book that they say for us to use. So I did have that right.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, but for the Yukon Environmental Studies course, I believe we just recently approved a textbook for that. So why are we not going through the same process for this course?
I believe that depending on the department at UConn, there's different levels. That's how it was always with at Manchester Community College. Sometimes they're very specific and sometimes they're not. I just spoke to Mrs. Midford. I called her at home and she said that was the book that UConn, the ECE program, had asked us to use.
And I do believe that the one that you're speaking of, Chris, I believe that they had some choices.
Right.
And maybe we do need to go through that process. I'm unclear at this point because I know in the past when we had UConn courses and where it was, here's the text. If you want to offer the course, this is the text you have to use. There was not board approval in the past for that text because it was a UConn offered course that we're being allowed to teach.
Do you happen to know offhand if, I mean, I know it's part of our policies that we approve textbooks.
Yep.
But is that based on a state law requirement or is it just best practices?
The board approving text, I don't know. I would have to look that up. I don't know.
You know, if we're legally required to approve textbooks because parents need to have an opportunity to review them and give their feedback, then I think that principle should apply to whatever course we are offering, whether it's through MCC or UConn or taught in-house. So I'm a little uncomfortable, especially since it's a a fairly significant textbook buy, $5,500, approving this transfer when it hasn't gone through the board already.
I could make a suggestion if everyone was willing. We do have another meeting in a couple of weeks. So if we want to hold this transfer, call it a first read and allow this 2-week period to go through that process and then vote on it at our meeting in the 28th or whatever day it is. If everyone is open to that, I would be good with that.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
Unless anyone has any other suggestions.
That definitely makes sense to me.
I'll ask Sarah to reach out to the curriculum committee and set up a meeting to talk about the text
Thank you.
in the meantime.
I guess just as a, well, since our next meeting is at the end of June 28th, if we, assuming that we approve it that night, does that give you enough time to place an order within the current fiscal year?
I'm not sure.
June 28th is a Monday, so are we really meeting on a Monday?
Oh,
No, I don't think so. Is that what it says, June 28th?
I may have misspoken on the date.
I thought it was June 24th.
That's a Thursday. That would make more sense. That would give you 4 business days after the meeting in which to get an order placed. So that's a little better.
Correct. Okay, so I'll get with Sarah in the morning and she'll reach out to you and Sue and
Thank you.
Rhea, and we'll go from there. Thank you. Sorry about that. All right.
So it is June 24th. I'm sorry, I misspoke when I said the 28th. So then are we looking for a motion to approve the proposed transfers with the exception of, or do we want to approve them all next meeting?
I say, why don't we just table it and approve them all the next meeting?
Okay. I like that idea better. Why don't we just table it and then we'll address it at June 24th meeting. So that then moves us on to community meeting reports. Are there people who have attended any community meetings or any other such events?
I can report that the Bolton Scholarship Fund has completed their review of all of the scholarship applications, and announcements will be made at graduation tomorrow of the high school award recipients, and letters will be going out this week to the college and graduate school recipients.
I'll just do a quick PTA update. I actually missed their meeting the other night, but I do know that they held an online auction for the first fundraiser that they've had since the pandemic. And as a tester case, I think it went well. So good for them.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? I don't think there's been anything else. So now I'll turn things over to the superintendent for the superintendent of schools report.
Thank you very much. So first, I'd like to start out by congratulating our 2021 Bolton High School graduates. We are looking forward to an exciting evening tomorrow night, and it's looking like the weather is going to cooperate. So we're very excited about that, and we're very, very excited for them. The last day for grab and go meals will be June 16th from between 8 and 9 a.m. at Bolton Center School. It is yet to be determined about summer meals at this point due to staffing needs. The arrival and dismissal times for next year are there for you. Bolton High School starting at 7:35 and Bolton Center School at 8:30, and Bolton High School ending the day at 2:20 and Bolton Center School at 3:15. And just a reminder, we're on one schedule at Bolton Center School now. And this is a full day, so we will not be ending the day 45 minutes early like we did this year to account for required time for prep for teachers per their contract. Just as a reminder, the Board of Finance cut the Board of Education budget by an additional $64,499 for a total cut to the Board of Education's budget ask of $164,499. And the budget referendum is on June 15th. That concludes my portion of the update, and now I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Giard. Mr. Maselli, could we move that slide? Thank you.
Hi, good evening. We're well underway with wrapping up the end of the 2020-21 school year. We've already had successful events that include the 8th grade class afternoon, the grade 5 through 8 academical virtual awards program, which was yesterday and went very well. Today we had a school-wide end of the year PBIS virtual celebration that went very good. The students, you could hear them screaming throughout the building as Mrs. Saffron and myself played against each other in Family Feud. So it was a very fun activity. Tomorrow is the 8th grade promotion at the high school at 10 a.m. And as Mrs. Heck said, the weather looks promising and all the staff and students are excited to have the in-person event this year. In terms of summer programs, information has been shared with students and families about the Adventures in Learning program. An email went out through School Messenger today, and we're in great shape for the in-person BCS summer program that begins on July 6th at Bolton High School. Lastly, the administration has already carved out some time this spring and more this summer to work with the academic leaders to plan for the reopening of school for 21-22. It seems far away, but it will be here before we know it. In closing, it has been a long year, but I'm very proud of the work that our staff, students, and families have done this past year. Bolton really is a special place, and I say that every time I can. And this year really was a team effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Maselli.
Thank you. After a not very typical year, we are working hard to end the year with a balance of Bolton High School traditions and then, that appropriate flexibility that we need to keep everyone safe. The high school exams wrapped up today. It was also great to meet the class of 2025 at their rehearsal today. I even had a chance to introduce most of the freshman teachers to those 8th graders today. We are celebrating our grade 9, 10, and 11 students literally as we speak. The YouTube premiere is rolling with a digital celebration that's replacing our typical in-person underclassmen awards. And we are ready to celebrate the class of 2021 tomorrow at 6 p.m. As a reminder, and we've mentioned previously, this is an in-person ceremony with limited seating, mask use, and social distancing. Only family members with tickets will be admitted. But the important piece is that we will be streaming live at boltonhigh.com/YouTube.
Thank you. And now for our the continuity of services plan. So the plan has specific categories that we must address per the federal American Rescue Plan Act in order for us to apply for and receive the monies assigned to Bolton. So the plan must contain health and safety strategies, and they're listed there: the universal and correct wearing of masks, the physical distancing, hand washing, respiratory etiquette, cleaning and maintaining healthy facilities, contact tracing, isolation and quarantine, diagnostic screening and testing, and efforts to provide vaccinations to staff and students. This plan has to be posted on the district's website by June 23rd per the act and, well, per the requirement of the state of Connecticut in order for us to apply for our monies. The plan must also include a continuity of services, including academic needs, social, emotional, and mental health, health services, and food services. And it needed to have a period of public comment, which, as you heard tonight, we did do, and the board is aware that we did as well. At this point, we have taken into consideration all of the comments that we received from parents and students. The masking piece that was spoken about tonight, we do have an order from the Department of Public Health with schools #1 on the list continuing to require masks. I don't know whether or not that is going to change over the summer. To be honest, I think Dr. Hauser mentioned, things change daily, and they certainly do. And we have been in the midst of that now for a year and a half. So when changes happen, we will be making revisions as necessary and appropriate. We are required by the law to review our plan every 6 months, open up for public comment, and make any revisions as appropriate or necessary or if needed. And that has to be done through, the state has given us some dates in there, which it might be June of 2023 because that fits within the time frame. I believe my internet connection is unstable, so I'm going to turn off my video for a second. Can you all hear me? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. So at this point, I just wanted to make the board aware of all of those pieces. We did take comments into consideration. You heard tonight, some changes were made based on some great comments that we received, and we certainly appreciate that. And we will be sending out the plan likely tomorrow in the end of the year update. And I'm hoping that the board is willing to offer a letter of support. One of the questions in the grant application is to provide any letters of support for the plan itself. And I think that just helps to make it stronger, our application for the monies. I'm hopeful that we're able to finish our application by the end of June, even though it's not due until the middle of August, because the state is going to be reviewing applications for the grant monies as they come in on a rolling basis. So I'm hopeful that we can get it done, hopefully maybe by the end of this month, and get it in for approval, because we do intend to use the monies to help pay for costs for this year's summer program that we're offering at Bolton Center School, as well as use monies towards technology and potentially PPE if we need it. I'm not sure we will, but we will set aside some in the event that we do need it, and then we can make revisions as necessary. And we do have until 2023 to spend the funds. We have approximately $169,000 that Bolton Public Schools can receive once our application is approved by the state.
Kristen, this is Rhea. What is the deadline for getting a letter of support? When would you like those letters of support?
I mean, if I could have the letter of support by, say, June 20th, that would be great from the board. I mean, if the board wanted to do one just as a collective Board of Education one, I do have one from Rob Miller already, and one from Jim Rupert as the Emergency Management Director for Bolton. So, and I think some of that was driven by the fact of when people are taking vacations coming up in the next couple of weeks.
So this letter of support is for the grant for the additional monies for the...
It's for the plan, and in support of the plan, and in support of our application for the grant. Because the plan is a requirement of the grant.
So it's the plan and the grant. And what is the name of this grant?
I can send you all of that information, Ria.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the plan is a requirement of the grant application, and the contents of the plan are requirements.
Correct. And those requirements are in the federal law. The pieces that I outlined that we had to, you know, craft
I
information.
understand, yeah, the ones that are most egregious.
Right.
So do we need a motion to direct Andrew to craft a letter, or?
That would be great.
All right, so I'll make a motion asking chairman to draft a letter in support of the district's plan to be prepared by June 20th with help from other board members as necessary or desired.
Second.
Do we have any questions or discussion on this motion? I guess my question is, does the board support the plan? I mean, I guess the vote might tell us, but.
That's a difficult question for me because if we're required, mandated to do that, our support is not really relevant. There's certainly pieces of the plan I don't agree with, but I don't see how we can change it. So I don't know. I honestly don't know where I stand on supporting a letter or not.
I suppose the letter could always be crafted in to say that, you know, we support the administration's efforts to comply with the requirements of the grant process. And in saying that, we wouldn't necessarily be stating that the board supports what is stated in the plan, just that we support their efforts to comply with the plan.
Is the plan a moment in time, or how long? Okay, so at any point after the plan is submitted, it could be changed for various reasons.
It is a living document and will have to be until our last 6-month review, if you will, right? Which will probably be June of 2023, because that will take us to 6 months and then it ends in September of 2023. So, and that's why I have said repeatedly in my commentary and in my communications that, you know, as DPH, CSDE, CDC, Eastern Highlands Health District, as changes happen with regards to requirements, and they're going to happen, I'm certain of that. They have happened readily all along. You know, we are going to have to take a look at our plan and make appropriate changes as needed. It may be not every 6 months, you know what I mean? It could be in a month, right? So it could look very different come the end of August before the start of school. I just don't know yet. We do have an order from the Department of Public Health on masks sent to us by the State Department of Education. We all received it, you know, and I can't account for what another superintendent or Board of Education did. We've received that directive. So I'm following the Department of Public Health's directive.
I think Chris's
I'm not
idea
questioning
of
that. I'm not
making
questioning that at all. Sorry, Sue, go ahead.
Oh, okay, thanks. I said I think Chris's idea of a more generic, just we support the efforts on the part of the administration to follow and comply with the guidelines seems like the, I don't want to say safest, but the most reasonable way to go.
Scott, I was not saying that you were, that wasn't why I said that.
No, I understand, and I appreciate the difficult position that you're in, but yeah, it's more. I'm against the whole process of how these things are forced upon us. So
It's been a roller coaster of a lot of that.
I'm wondering if maybe we work on this and have it in your hands and discuss it at the June 24th meeting also, to make sure that the letter complies with what our actual feelings are and is acceptable to all of us going forward. Part of the reason for this, I would say, is that I'm going to be away all next week, and to have it by the 20th would be impossible for me. And I'm also not sure how we're all feeling about it. Heard from theoretically having to have a plan. So yes, I think if we are trying to get grant monies, then we should be writing a letter of support for getting money. But I guess I'm cautious about what exactly is being supported and how behind it all of the members of the board are. So I think I would like to compose something, or maybe even with someone's help, and we can have all review it and have a chance to say, okay, this is compliant with what we are trying to accomplish. I don't want to add too many things to our next meeting, but I think for clarity and make sure that we're all on the same page, that might be a wise course of action.
I'm happy to amend.
Okay.
I'm happy to amend
Sorry,
my.
I'm having an awful service. I was just walking around trying. I'm on my Wi-Fi right now, and I was trying to find a better spot, but it's.
I'm happy to amend my motion to give us until June 24th to prepare the letter, assuming that that's soon enough, Kristen.
Well, if it's not due until August, it's soon enough. I mean, yes, we're trying to expedite the matter, but like, to me, having it well thought out and making sure we're all in support is, an extra couple days. It's not going to be the end of the.
Chris, do you want to amend your motion, or you want to withdraw it because we're going to just put it on the next agenda?
Oh, yeah, no, that's a good point. I will withdraw my motion.
Okay.
So in the interest of beating a dead horse, if let's say we weren't going after this grant, would we be required to put this plan together? And if we weren't required to put this plan together and we didn't put this plan together, come fall, should nothing change between now and fall, would our students still be required by the state to wear masks?
I can't answer
if
that.
nothing changes, I mean, from as it is right now, right today, if nothing changes, whether we had this plan or not, the requirement from the state would be that they have to wear masks.
I guess, yeah, I guess if nothing changed, I don't even know that I can speak for the Department of Public Health, because I got to tell you, I feel like every time I turn around, things change. So I don't even know that I can definitively tell you come the end of August.
No, I'm saying as it stands today.
I guess so. I would say as it stands today, there would not be a change. I mean, that's the order that
Right,
stands.
that's the
right
order
now.
that's today, right? Okay.
Okay, I think we need to discuss this more, but certainly having something to discuss is probably the way to go, and it'll help us all get better clarity on what we're supporting. And I guess what I'm wondering along these lines is how binding any of this is. I mean, like, we have a plan. Well, a plan is only as good as, like, the information you have at the time. So, how does the plan change? How can it change? And how can we support the change that is needed or wanted? And, I think maybe I like the idea. We'll try to compose something and then discuss it, the actual composed letter, and say this is a thing that I can either support or not support. But we'll have to move this to June 24th.
May I ask what the specific issues are?
Sorry, my connection seems to be getting worse. I'm gonna have to try and.
Like, what are the specific items in this plan that are causing the most discontent, would you say?
For me, it's the mask mandate. That's primarily where I'm coming from. But mandate means it's a
Right.
mandate.
Are children being vaccinated? Like, do you know if the children are receiving vaccinations? I know certain younger age groups are becoming vaccinated. Do we know? But
That's up to the parents whether or not they vaccinate their children.
right, but do they tell you, or
Not necessarily.
not necessarily? So we really don't know what percentage of children in the school district are vaccinated by grade level. So it's hard to, it's really hard to know if we don't have that kind of data to make decisions about what's safe and what's not safe.
The data's out there. You can look at the data and see it. I know I'm not supposed to see it, but
Point
I'm
of
sorry.
order, please. Can we ask members of the public to not be contributing? It's not appropriate.
Yes, thank you. That is true. We do only have that one section for comments from the audience, and we welcome feedback in the meantime and at any future meetings, but we can't really open it up to a discussion.
Nor can you respond to the chat. I know there's a lot going on in the chat. It keeps popping up as I'm talking, but the board is not allowed, it's not part of Robert's Rules of Order. So I just want the parents that are on the meeting to understand why it is no one is responding to the chat.
And again, I want to clarify, my issue is not with the superintendent, the group that puts this together, or the Board of Ed. My issue is something that we don't have control over in our capacity. It all stems from the language of supporting this plan. It's not that I don't support the effort. And I support whatever is necessary for the health and safety of the district. I'm not questioning people's intent. I'm not anything like that. It's that letter of support. That's what started this conversation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And what it is we're supporting.
Right.
Yeah, and this is just a recommendation that the Board of Education is even providing a letter anyway. It's like, I need to wrap my head around exactly what we're trying to accomplish and what we want to do. I mean, I have issues myself, and I think to even talk in middle June about what any guidance is going to be in September. And, you know, when we're on a day-to-day, week-to-week situation here, I mean, yes, we are over the hump, and yes, things are moving in the right direction. But to even definitively say right now what's going to be the case in 3 months from now it's impossible to say, for one thing. And we're only going with, yes, we have mandates, we've had mandates, we've had guidance, we've had different guidance, the guidance changes. I mean, this is not an easy thing to discuss. So the plan is like best information at the time. So, you know, again, the best information we have right now is not going to be what likely the guidance is in the fall. So it's, you know, and to me, there is only what we're trying to do things that are in the best interest of the children. And we have, you know, the science even has changed. So the best interest of the children being kept in mind, everyone is going to be viewing that the best interest of the children is not to be a vector in disease transmission, or not to get sick themselves, or other people think that the mask is going to be the best guidance. This is not an easy thing, nor is it something that I don't even know how we would even get consensus on it as a larger group. But in the meantime, we have 1 day of school left right now until, you know, almost Labor Day. So what things look like at that point is, you know, it's not really worth getting riled up about at this time. And, you know, we can only do what we can do now and hope that we're making the right decision. And by we, I mean more so the administration, because this is almost outside of the role of the Board of Education. I think that it's misunderstood how much input we have or deserve into this. We can make our own feelings known, and they might have larger sway than just general public, but it's still really not up to us. And so I appreciate where the sentiment is coming from, and I have very mixed feelings about it myself. And, you know, do I think, you know, at the beginning of this year, I have a kindergartner. How is my kindergartner ever going to wear a mask all day? Well, she doesn't seem to care that much, but, you know, maybe next year she will. Maybe now she'll say she wants the mask. I don't know. This is all weird, really weird stuff. It's never happened before. And so there's going to be strong opinions on both sides. And I don't really see how in June we can say definitively what September should look like. Because in September, our infection rate might be 0, or it might be 3, or it might be that, you know, the variants that we're always being warned about are on the upswing, or it might be that it's like largely faded away. It's really hard to say right now. And I appreciate everyone's sentiment and input. And I just, you know, as far as us writing a letter about a plan, you know, let's have a letter, let's look at it and say, what are we supporting or not supporting? And again, we're just trying to get money. So we want, you know, to have this plan, and we, you know, that's how the government controls us. Yes, it's not a law, it's a mandate, but oh, if you want the funding, then you have to do such and such, and you have to follow this rule, and you have to word things this way. So, you know, it's a whole, to me, it's just a really difficult thing to say. And I don't even know that us supporting a letter that supports a plan is supporting specific actions 3 months from now. But I don't know, now I'm ranting. So does anyone else want to talk? Or are we going to say we'll discuss this again once we have a letter on the 24th?
I suspect that it will certainly be an issue for discussion, and that there will likely be more public comment at our next meeting. But I think a lot of what you said, Andrew, is really well taken, and it was well expressed. I would just like to add that, you know, after 5.5, 6 years of being involved with this board, getting to know the administration and teachers, that I am fully confident that they have the best interests of our children at heart, and that all of the decisions they are taking as they try to navigate the various requirements being thrust upon them by the state, regional health district, federal, that their primary focus in working through all of that is what is going to be best for our children. And certainly there is going to be disagreements among members of the public, potentially, on what actually constitutes the best interests of our children. But as a Board of Education member, I am comfortable trusting that people who have dedicated their lives to working with children, educating them, caring for them, that they are in an excellent position to navigate those complications and make the decisions that truly will benefit our children. So I just want to express my support for them.
I second that.
I think the chair is frozen.
For this, but we're not going to solve anything tonight. So let's move along. Are we done with our? We're done with the superintendent of schools report. On to unfinished business. We have a second read textbook, and I will be looking for a motion to approve the purchase of the environment, the science B word that's behind somebody's picture. I'm sorry. I was looking at the agenda on my phone and then my phone died. So now the environment, the science, is it below, between?
The science behind the story,
Behind.
7th edition,
Thank
AP
you.
edition.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Pictures right at that word. Environment. All right. I'm looking for a motion to approve the purchase of Environment, the Science Behind Stories, 7th edition, AP edition.
So moved. Sue?
Second, Anne.
Thank you very much. Is there any comment or discussion on this textbook? Hearing none, all those in favor of the textbook purchase, please say aye.
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 For anyone who is opposed or would like to abstain, go forth. And by the textbook, now on to 2021-2022 budget update.
So I think I really ended up providing that under superintendent's report. But the referendum is on June 15th, and we do have a total reduction of $164,499 to the Board of Education's requested budget. And that is all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. On to new business. We have some resignations.
We do, sadly. I am announcing the resignation of Chris Briggs, tech education teacher, and Hillary Della Penta, math teacher at the high school. We wish them both well and thank them for their service to the Bolton Public Schools. That is all I have there.
That is, this agenda is not the updated agenda that includes the executive session.
Correct. What is on there is not correct. You're correct.
Do we have any?
No other future business
No.
other than what's been discussed already.
Okay. So now we're looking for a motion to go into executive session and to invite Superintendent Hecht in order to discuss a personnel matter.
Could we also include Director Goldschneider, please?
looking for a motion to go into executive session to invite Director Goldschneider and Superintendent Hecht to discuss a personnel matter.
I would like to make a motion to go into an executive session and invite Superintendent Hecht and Director Goldsnyder.
Second.
Thank you.
You, Ben and Ann, is there any discussion?
Yes. Personnel matter is,
Oh,
sorry, Andrew. Personnel matter seems a little vague. Can we be slightly more specific? Is it involving a teacher, support staff?
It's in regards to teaching positions.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor? You say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Abstaining? Thank you all for coming tonight. I appreciate the outpouring of communication from the public, which is generally sorely lacking. So I'm just really happy to have some involvement. And also, I thank the administration as always for being here and for the conclusion of a, hard and well-taught school year